Go out there and enjoy what you do. But there's a professional way in which we got to get it done. We got to have a sense of urgency. We got to have a sense of purpose. All right. And then we got to have a plan on what we want to accomplish each and every day. I know practice is not going to be perfect, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But as long as we're working hard, and as long as we're working on 3 things minimal per player on something to help improve our game, then you know what? We're giving ourselves a chance down the line.
I was going to ask you, we saw yesterday you had the guys repeat some plays again and some drills as well. And what were some, I know each situation will be different, but what are those things that for you are, this is not acceptable at this point that you want them to do? How big were they, or how small, or something?
Some of the times when he's making mistakes, and the only thing he wants to know is what can he do to get better. More than anything, I'm enjoying just watching him work and watching how he handles the highs and the lows, because you're going to have some of that throughout the course of working during the off season, just like you would if you were playing in the game. But the thing that I love about him is that he's always staying steady. His demeanor does not change, and he's very, very competitive. And I will say this, he auto-corrects himself as well, because he knows exactly what he did and what he should have done, which is a good thing.
And then for you, and we kind of talked to you about
Uh-oh. That'd have been bad.
Talked to you about this a little bit a couple weeks ago, but how energized do you feel? And you kind of feel, do you almost look, in hindsight, look back and feel maybe you needed this kind of recharge for yourself?
You know what? It's fun. It's you guys gonna learn. I'm pretty loud at practice, so, but it's fun. The season, knock on wood. You hate to say this, but injuries happen, and so these guys have to have the ability to have some position flex so they can go and line up and give us an opportunity if something was to happen. So at this particular time, and talking with our O-line coach, this is the best situation for all of them. And not saying that, that one of those guys won't move at some point in time, but we want to give those guys the best opportunity because we feel that gives us the best opportunity to go be successful right now.
With the CBA and the limits on how much you're able to spend time on the field with the players, how far along do you feel? I mean, you've got new quarterback, new concepts. There's a lot of new stuff coming here. How's it going?
You know what? It's going good. We're still at the beginning. I mean, it's still the intro section of where we're at. But I will say this. These guys have done a heck of a job of working at it. We're challenging them to study. We're challenging them to study all the film. We want them to gain a perspective of how we're going to get things done. On top of that, it's all about creating a culture of accountability and creating a culture of how we work and how we do things. So I'll handle that particular situation. So at the end of the day, I want those guys to get it. All right? I want them to have an understanding that, we can't waste these opportunities. We only have so many reps throughout the course of a practice, so we have to make it right. Now, I understand at times we're going to make mistakes, but I also got to look at myself in the mirror and make sure that I'm doing the right thing and communicating the message clearly so they have a complete understanding, but also, too, that the message has been received. So a part of that, yes, at times Coach EB can get out of hand, okay? But also, too, those guys know I want them to strive for perfection in order to achieve excellence by having a complete understanding of what we're doing and how we're going to get it done.
And on the offensive line with Andrew and Sam, you've got two guys who've been playing primarily right tackle the last couple of years, but you obviously have Andrew staying there and Sam inside. What ultimately for you led to that decision? Obviously, you knew Andrew, but what led you to decide that's the way you wanted to go with those guys?
Well, at the end of the day, you just want your best 5 to play. And so you're going to put those guys in the best situations that's going to give us the best opportunity. Obviously, Wiley has played the right tackle position now for a number of years. He's also played guard. Like we got a bunch of bad apples in the room. These guys, they want to do it right. They may not know it right now on how to do it the right way all the time, but they want to do it the right way. And that's the thing that makes it fun.
Mistakes are natural, right?
Yes.
Throughout life, though, when you have transitions and changes, there's often kind of hurdles and roadblocks. Have you experienced any pushback, or have there been any situations where you've had to lean back?
No, and so there hasn't been any issues. But one thing, I'm always open and honest with the guys. If I make a mistake, hey, fellas, I screwed this up. I told you the wrong thing. I shouldn't have done that. So my job is to make sure that I'm also being accountable and displaying that so these guys can gain that trust within me. Because the last thing you want to do is lose that trust based on something that you told them that wasn't a fact, or that wasn't right, or it didn't. A good group. These guys.
Once you had all that, how do you reel that back in your mind as you are in these early phases?
Well, what's real and what's not real. I got to observe everything objectively and see exactly what type of growth are we making. I've seen a number of players make some growth. I've seen Sadiq Charles make some growth. I've seen all the different things that Coach Travell and Coach Juan has been working with him. You know, I've seen Sam make some growth playing the right guard position. I've seen Sam make some growth. I've seen growth at a number of different positions. Now, I've also seen growth as an offense, not at the rate that you would like, but there's steady steps that are being made, which are working in a positive direction, and that's all you want. When you've had 6 practices, you got to look at it objectively and see where the growth is taking place. And we're going to learn how to get it done. I'm not concerned about that. These guys, like I said, there's some good people on this team, and there's some good people in that locker room, and they care, and they want to be great at what they do. Not so much buying into, but making sure that they can do what is best for their teammate, okay? And stop looking out for themselves. Now they're seeing the big picture, which now if we grow together as a team, and the player next to me is by far the most important player, okay? When we're going through a sequence of plays, then that's going to help take us to the next level. Because we have to learn how to play together. We have to learn how to play for one another. And that's the beauty of team sports. And this happens to be one of the best ones, because without each other, we can't accomplish anything. It doesn't make a difference how much talent we have or don't have. We got to make sure that we're playing for each other and being accountable, and making sure that we understand all the detailed aspects of what it's going to take for us to have the success that we want to have.
To build on that a little bit, Sam was talking about how you show clips.
9 season, and I mean, first of all, he's a great human being. On top of that, he's
on the offensive line with Travell and Juan. What's your vision for that coaching area, and what do you want to see from? And I know you've got your input too. What does that look like?
I mean, it looks good. Coach Travell he's the offensive line coach. I mean, he's running everything, and you know, we got a veteran offensive line coach and Coach Juan, who brings a whole lot of experience to that room as well. And Coach Juan is our run game coordinator. So he's been a big assistant for Travell. Travell is handling the room. He's doing a great job. If he needs help, you know, Juan gives him a word of whatever, and it helps him, you know, throughout the preparation. So those guys are doing a heck of a job. You know, I'm proud of what they've done. And like I said, this is practice 6, so we got plenty of them coming up, especially with the vet minicamp coming up next week. And then on top of that, we got training camp, which I can't wait to damn training camp. I'm already fired up about training camp. And
Coach, as we get to know you and how you work, couldn't help but notice, you know, you have a lot of animal calls, rhino, zebra. Where did that come from? Like, did that come from a certain place as far as simplicity for the offense, or something that people can grasp? Because it's kind of interesting. They're all animals that you use.
You know what? I've never even thought of it, but it just basically identifies our personnel group. So just letting us know exactly who's in, and giving us an opportunity to put the best personnel out there on the field. But those guys, they take a lot of pride in it, because if a certain personnel group is called, those guys know exactly who's in, and those guys get excited about being a part of that particular play when it's called.
Ron was telling us about how he's letting you kind of set the practice times and kind of going about installing this offense. Is setting like practice times and stuff, is that a new responsibility?
I'm enjoying it because it allows me to have input, It also, because of the success that we've had, some of the things I brought over from Kansas City and how we structure things. And on top of that, it's just given me a little bit more responsibilities as far as being the assistant head coach. So it's been great, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying all the challenges and the responsibilities. It's a part of the title. And when it's all said and done with, I just want to make sure that I'm doing what is right for us when it's all said and done with.
Right, Ron was saying that he wanted to make sure that title wasn't just.
You get an opportunity to watch them work.
Frustrated a little bit at the end of practice. I'm wondering how you handle a player like that where it doesn't maybe go his way that day on the practice field. What do you do kind of afterwards to massage it over if you feel like you need to?
You shoot them straight. You know, one thing that I take a tremendous amount of pride in is making sure that guys understand we're going to always over-communicate clarity. All right, we're not going to leave any stones unturned. If something was to happen, we're going to make sure that we address that issue right then and there. Good, bad, or indifferent. But when it's all said and done with, we leave it alone and we keep it moving because we got too many good things to look forward to. And so I love what B-Rob brings to the table. I love the emotion and the excitement and the energy that he brings. One thing I want him, and not just him, but all of us to understand is that we're all in this together. So regardless, you may be frustrated, but let's make sure that we don't lose our poise about something because it didn't happen the way you wanted it to happen. It's a great learning lessons. And so B-Rob is about as good as a kid as they come. And he knew instantly he happened to be wrong at that particular time. And he meant no ill will with anything. It was just his frustration of wanting to be great in that particular moment.
Good afternoon, Coach. A guy like Chris Rodriguez Jr., obviously a young running back looking to make an impression with the limitations on physicality at this stage in the program, where can he really kind of impress his coaches at this stage?
Special teams. All right. One thing that these guys are here for me, as long as we're together, there's an imaginary sign outside that door that says hiring all applicants. So, yeah, we got some pretty good running backs here. So just because you play that position don't mean that you can't play other positions. The quickest way to making this team is making sure that you become best friends with that special teams coach. All right. And if you're becoming best friends with that special teams coach, that means that you're fine now. He's in a good place.
And then can you share maybe some thoughts on kind of where you've seen him grow maybe the most from rookie camp to the end of this OTA period?
So first of all, Coach Randy and Coach J.K. are doing a heck of a job with him. He's a smart kid. He works hard. Chris is pretty sharp. You know, I will say this. Chris has just remained steady. Very seldom do you have to correct him on any mistakes. Now, it might be a little technical issue that you may have to clean up. But as far as making mistakes, that's not in his DNA. He does it the right way, and that's what you love about him because he's smart, he gets it, and he understands the game, and he also understands the thing I love about him, he understands his strengths, and he's very aware of his weaknesses, which makes him he's very smart.
Hey, Coach, can you give a little update on where the tight end room is at and where that group is headed, especially with Armani Rodgers going down basically in the first?
They're making plays, and the quarterbacks have been doing a great job of locating them in the passing game. So far, so good. Like I said, these guys are hardworking, got a lot of veterans in that group. I think from top down, the depth is pretty good. I'm just proud of where we are at this particular point in time.
Going back to Chris Rodriguez, you mentioned his self-awareness and him knowing his strengths and weaknesses. Is that rare for a player his age and experience just coming in?
You know what? It's not rare, but it's always good to see, okay? Chris is very sharp. Obviously, his coaching staff did a heck of a job with him. And obviously his parents, did a hell of a job of raising him. He's a very sharp kid. He doesn't take anything for granted. And that's what you love about him. And that's why he's here. We felt that way about him when he was at Kentucky. And obviously he's had his shortcomings, but he's very aware of who he is and where he is. But he also understands the big picture.